Being exceptional is supposed to make life easier. Instead, it often makes it lonelier. The contradiction sits in plain sight. The more value you generate, the less room there seems to be for you at the table. The common story is simple and comforting. High achievers struggle socially because they're awkward, arrogant, or emotionally underdeveloped. The label shifts the discomfort onto the individual and lets the surrounding environment stay innocent. The quieter reality is less flattering. Modern institutions reward output but quietly punish deviation. They need exceptional performance, but only if it doesn't disturb the mood, the pace, or the unspoken rules that keep everyone else comfortable. In developed economies, especially the United States, group life is organized around predictability. Schools, offices, and professional networks run like shared calendars that only work if everyone agrees on meeting length, agenda, and tone. The demographic we call high achievers consistently runs ahead of that schedule. They finish the task early, see the flaw before it causes damage, or ask the question that makes the meeting drag on. That creates friction. Not dramatic conflict, just the low-grade irritation of someone turning on the kitchen light when everyone else was fine eating in the dark. The incentive is subtle but persistent. Groups survive by minimizing tension. When someone consistently raises the bar, the rest of the group doesn't experience inspiration first. They experience pressure. The room gets quieter, jokes land differently, conversations shorten. Like a thermostat reacting to a sudden heat spike, the group adjusts by cooling the source. Exclusion isn't a punishment, it's temperature control. Historically, this isn't new. Periods that demand specialization, industrial expansion, post-war technological booms, the digital economy, always produce a class of people whose thinking outpaces the habits around them. The pattern repeats across countries. Those individuals are praised in speeches and sidelined in daily life. They're featured in annual reports and left out of lunch plans. The contradiction persists because the arrangement works. Innovation is harvested, discomfort is contained. Eventually, this trickles inward. When you're the one out of sync, you feel it in your body before you can explain it. You notice your jaw tighten when conversations circle the same surface topics. Your shoulders stiffen when you're told to keep it simple for the third time that week. You learn slowly and unconsciously that being precise costs you connection. So you start editing yourself. You sand down insights like rough edges on a countertop, hoping no one notices what you removed. It keeps the peace, it also drains you. The adaptation makes sense, but it isn't free. Living in permanent translation mode raises stress, dulls motivation, and teaches you to associate clarity with risk. Understanding that doesn't absolve you of responsibility, it gives you leverage. You can choose when to compress and when to speak fully. You can seek rooms where finishing early doesn't make you suspicious. Awareness doesn't fix the environment, it just stops you from blaming yourself for reacting to it. Talent doesn't isolate people on its own. It becomes isolating when daily life is organized around sameness. Most social spaces function like shared playlists. Everyone agrees on the tempo, the volume, the familiar chorus. When someone keeps skipping ahead or hearing layers others don't, it disrupts the rhythm. The fastest way to restore harmony isn't to learn the new song, it's to hand them different headphones. In workplaces, this shows up as culture fit. On paper, it sounds harmless. In practice, it's a preference for people who interpret instructions the same way, react at the same speed, and stop asking questions at the same point. The data shows that top performers often receive vague feedback irrelevant to their output. Tone, attitude, approachability. These aren't neutral criteria, they're tools for preserving comfort. Excellence is welcomed like a powerful appliance, useful, impressive, but unplugged when it hums too loudly. Globally, economies built on knowledge work intensify this effect. When value comes from thinking rather than manufacturing, differences in cognition become more visible. There's no assembly line to hide behind. Meetings replace machines, and conversation becomes the main interface. Those who think in larger jumps or longer chains don't just work differently, they disrupt the flow of interaction itself. The group responds the way any crowded sidewalk does when someone stops suddenly. It swerves around them. Over time, this produces a strange double bind. High achievers are told they're needed and treated like they're inconvenient. They're encouraged to lead but punished for setting direction too clearly. The result is a quiet withdrawal, not dramatic isolation, just fewer invitations, shorter exchanges, and a growing sense that showing up fully isn't worth the cost. When this pressure becomes internal, it shows up as chronic alertness. You start scanning rooms for signs that you're too much. Your nervous system stays slightly elevated, like a phone vibrating in your pocket even when no one's calling. You may cope by shrinking your presence or by leaning into performance alone, telling yourself relationships are inefficient. Both are understandable responses. Both come with long-term costs, burnout, bitterness, and a narrowing of life to output alone. Agency begins with recognizing the trade-off. You don't have to contort yourself to fit every room. You do have to choose which rooms deserve you. That means building parallel spaces, communities, collaborations, friendships where depth isn't a disruption. It also means learning when friction is worth creating. Silence can keep you included. It can also keep you invisible. There's a philosophical tension at the core of this paradox. Modern culture celebrates individual achievement while quietly enforcing collective comfort. Freedom is praised in theory and rationed in practice. The result is a population trained to self-regulate not around truth or effectiveness, but around acceptability. High achievers feel this first because they hit the boundaries sooner. Across history, societies have always relied on a minority to think ahead. They've also rarely made daily life easy for that minority. The pattern holds from ancient city-states to modern corporate campuses. What changes is the packaging. Today, exclusion arrives with polite language and performance reviews instead of exile. The effect is softer but no less real. Understanding this doesn't mean resigning yourself to solitude. It means abandoning the hope that universal acceptance is the reward for excellence. That expectation is what keeps people stuck, waiting for permission to be fully themselves. Once you drop it, choices become clearer. You stop trying to convert every room and start investing in the few that can actually hold you. On a personal level, this requires tolerance for discomfort. Choosing not to shrink will cost you some approval. Choosing to always shrink will cost you yourself. The balance isn't found once, it's negotiated repeatedly. Some days you translate, some days you don't. The key is that it's a decision, not a reflex. The broader environment is likely not to change quickly. Institutions move slowly because they're designed to, but individuals move all the time. You can design your life with more intention than your environment was designed for you. That's not rebellion, it's calibration. The paradox of talent isn't that excellence leads to isolation, it's that society benefits from excellence while quietly discouraging its presence in everyday life. Seeing that clearly is the first step out of passive frustration. The next step is responsibility, choosing where to give your energy, how to speak, and when to stop asking rooms to stretch beyond what they're willing to do. You're not broken for feeling out of place. You were responding logically. What comes next is up to you. All right, that's it for today. If you're looking for more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for what's coming next. Anyway, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.